Imagine you are standing on a frozen plain where the sky glows blue with moonlight and the wind cuts through your skin like sharpened blades, where every breath feels like swallowing ice, and the darkness hides predators that prowl beneath the silence. Temperatures fall to -40 degrees without mercy. Most people today wouldn't survive even 1 hour in this ancient, frozen world. Yet Ice Age hunters lived through these nights thousands of times, sleeping beneath open skies, wrapped in nothing but what their hands could craft and what the land could give them. How did they do it? How did humans survive the deadliest cold Earth has ever known without fire, without warm clothing, without permanent shelters, and often without even the comfort of daylight safety? To understand this almost impossible achievement, we must step into a world where survival was not a choice, but a constant battle, where every night was a test of human resilience, and where warmth was something earned through knowledge, adaptation, and an unbreakable spirit forged in ice. The story of Ice Age hunters begins with respect, because in the frozen wilderness, arrogance killed faster than the cold. These hunters understood their environment intimately, reading the snow, listening to the wind, sensing tiny shifts in temperature the way we feel changes in sunlight. They didn't fight the cold directly. They learned to live beside it, shaping their lives, bodies, and strategies around its brutal demands. To survive the Ice Age night, the first rule was simple. Conserve every bit of warmth the body could generate. With no fire, the human body itself became the only heater they could rely on, and so their survival systems revolved around preserving body heat with absolute precision. They began by using the land itself as insulation. Instead of sleeping on the frozen surface, which would drain their warmth instantly, they carved shallow pits in the ground or dug snow shelters that acted like natural thermal chambers. Snow, surprising to many, is an incredible insulator because it traps air within its crystalline structure. By creating a dome of snow around themselves, Ice Age hunters built protective bubbles where temperatures remained far warmer than the deadly winds outside. Some shelters were made by stacking blocks of dense snow, similar to later Arctic igloos, though simpler and shaped by instinct rather than architecture. Others used buried shelters, where they covered the opening with animal hides to trap heat and block freezing gusts. Inside these snow caves, the temperature could rise from -40 outside to just below freezing inside, still cold, but life-saving when you rely on body heat alone. Their next secret was clothing made from the thickest and warmest materials available at the time. Ice Age animals like mammoths, musk oxen, woolly rhinoceroses, reindeer, and giant elk had fur designed to survive deep glacial cold. Hunters harvested these hides not just for survival but with astonishing craftsmanship. They layered furs with inner insulating fibers and outer wind-resistant coats, creating garments far more effective than modern winter jackets. The trick was layering, hair facing outward to block wind, downy fibers facing inward to trap warmth. Sometimes even dried grasses or finely woven plant fibers sandwiched in between to create air pockets that slowed heat loss. These clothes were sewn using bone needles and sinew threads, which were incredibly strong and flexible. Their tailoring was so advanced that scientists studying Ice Age clothing have found that the patterns were deliberately shaped to minimize heat escape from joints and limbs. These people weren't merely hunters, they were cold-weather engineers whose designs still impressed modern research. But even with shelters and clothing, Ice Age nights were dangerous, and so hunters relied on their most powerful survival system. The human group. They slept tightly, pressed together in large clusters, sharing warmth, just like animals do during storms. One human body alone could freeze, but a group of 7 or 8 bodies pressed close could retain heat the entire night. Their sleeping positions were strategic. The youngest, weakest, or oldest were placed in the center, while the strongest adults positioned themselves around the edges, creating a living barrier that protected the inner circle. This method is seen today in pack animals like wolves and musk oxen, yet Ice Age humans perfected it instinctively. Extreme cold, survival was a shared responsibility. They also rotated positions throughout the night, preventing any one person from absorbing the worst of the cold for too long. Their unity wasn't just cultural, it was biological survival. Their diet played a massive role as well. To endure -40 degrees without fire, the body needed enormous amounts of energy. Ice Age hunters consumed incredibly high-fat diets, raw fat from mammoths, marrow from bones, blubber from seals when available. nutrient-rich organs that delivered calories in dense bursts. Fat metabolizes slowly, releasing heat over long periods. A heavy meal before sleep functioned like an internal furnace, giving the body enough fuel to maintain its core temperature during the freezing night. They often ate just before dusk, packing their bodies with calories that would sustain them through hours of immobility. They also preserved food using ice and snow, creating primitive frozen storage that kept meat fresh without bacteria growth. This allowed them to maintain steady nutrition even during harsh winter storms when hunting became impossible. Control was another critical lesson. Wet clothing or damp fur could kill within minutes in glacial conditions. Ice Age hunters knew this through experience, so they kept their garments meticulously dry. They shook off snow constantly, brushed off frost, and laid hides on the inside of shelters to prevent melting ice from soaking their bedding. Sweat was just as dangerous as snow, so they moved at carefully controlled paces, avoiding overheating and keeping their breathing steady. Their entire physical routine was built around preventing moisture from forming remotely close to their skin. Breathing techniques were essential too. In extreme cold, breathing too fast or too deeply could freeze moisture inside the nasal passages. Hunters learned slow, controlled breaths, warming the air slightly by pulling it through cloth or fur wrapped around their mouths. They exhaled gently to avoid losing unnecessary heat through their breath. This discipline gave them remarkable endurance during long hunts or migrations across frozen landscapes. Their lungs adapted over generations, becoming efficient at cold air intake. Navigation in the Ice Age was perhaps even harder than in deserts. Snowstorms erased trails instantly, and the landscape shifted relentlessly. Yet hunters mastered star navigation, reading constellations, not for romance, but survival. They studied the movement of herds, whose instincts predicted weather patterns. They recognized ice formations that indicated safe paths across frozen rivers, and avoided thin patches by tapping surfaces with long wooden spears. They tracked subtle differences in wind-carved snow, known as which revealed wind direction and helped them remain oriented even during blinding storms. Their sense of direction rivaled that of migratory animals. Their shelters also evolved beyond simple pits and snow caves. When traveling across long distances, hunters used the bones of mammoths to build frameworks for temporary homes. Rib cages became arches, tusks became support beams, and hides stretched across the structure created sturdy, windproof tents. Some of these mammoth-bone huts still exist today, standing as monuments to human ingenuity in the harshest era of Earth's history. These shelters offered protection strong enough to endure storms that would obliterate weaker constructions. But perhaps the most astonishing part of Ice Age survival was their ability to observe animals and mimic their strategies. They watched how wolves curled into balls to conserve warmth, how mammoths sheltered calves from wind, how Arctic foxes dug into snowdrifts for insulation, how reindeer used breath to warm small pockets inside icy dens. Every lesson learned from the natural world became part of their survival wisdom. They respected the predators they hunted, understanding that every creature in the Ice Age was a master of the cold. Humans survived by becoming students of nature, not its conquerors. Their mental resilience was extraordinary too. Fear in the Ice Age was deadly because panic caused rapid breathing, sweating, and poor decisions. Hunters carried stories, rituals, and shared chants that kept their minds steady. Their culture itself became a survival tool, teaching patience, discipline, and unity. They believed that the land had spirits, and that the cold was a live enemy that could be defeated only through respect. Whether or not the belief was true didn't matter. The discipline it created saved their lives. In closing, the story of Ice Age hunters surviving -40-degree nights without fire is a testament to humanity's brilliance, adaptability, and unbreakable endurance. These people lived in a world far more dangerous and unforgiving than anything we experience today. Yet they thrived because they understood the land better than any modern person ever could. They combined shelter engineering, clothing design, strategic grouping, diet science, breathing control, and deep observation into a flawless survival system that allowed them to endure conditions that would kill us within minutes. Their story reminds us that humans are far more capable than we believe, that survival lies not in technology alone, but in knowledge, courage, unity, and respect for the natural world. The Ice Age may be gone, but its hunters remain symbols of what the human spirit can achieve when pushed to its limits. If this changed how you see ancient engineering, hit that like button and also subscribe this channel for more rediscovered genius. And tell me in the comments, what other mysteries should we uncover next?